Happy Tuesday. Welcome this morning, guys. It's Tuesday, January 7th, second day of the first full week of January trading, maybe. I think so, at least. But a lot going on here. Nice headline. Free speech has been restored. Um, Meta in the headlines here announcing free speech. Just we'll talk about that. Got hot cattle market. We're definitely have to talk about the cattle market here this morning. We're going to talk commitment of traders. Had some inspections data as well yesterday. We'll see where we go, but let's go to your markets, give you an update on where your markets are at this morning. Thanks for joining us here this morning. March corn down 4 cents, giving a little bit back, 4.54 on March corn. Looking over at March beans, down 8 cents, 9.89 on March beans. Oil a little firmer, meal a little bit weaker. Wheats are mixed. Chicago's down 1/4 of a cent. KC up 2 3/4. March KC at 5.56. Feeders 7.5 cents higher, 266.50 on Jan feeders. March feeders up 25 cents at 265.80. On your fat cattle side of things, fats are front month up a little bit, back months are giving some back, and the hog market rolling over a little bit as well. Crude market up 70 cents, diesel up 14, up 1.5. Got to watch my decimals there. Nat gas is down 9 cents on February. Looking over your equities, the Dow's up 24, the S&P down 13, and the NASDAQ down 120 points. Bitcoin down 3,000, knocking on that $100,000 level, testing it once again. All right, let's jump into the show here and get you updated. Connor B, are you there?
I'm here. I am
How was your
back.
morning, Connor
it was
B?
it was entertaining. I'm back in the office. As you can see, I forgot my good headset at home, so I'm using my other one. So I apologize if I don't
You
come in
sound
clear,
good.
but yeah, so it's been fun, right? Snow days are just they're just a blast. They're
Yeah,
they're a lot of fun. And we've got more. I haven't looked at how much we're getting, but I've got snow in the forecast again this
like
weekend
Thursday.
or Friday. Yeah, Friday, I
Yeah.
think, Brady.
Yeah, there's some in the forecast here Thursday here. We'll see if it comes to fruition or not. But January, it's the month of winter, I guess. Winter's here.
It
Um,
is. It
Back
is.
to
It's
school, kids out the vacations over. Get the kids out the door. They're going back to daycare. Everybody's going back to work. People are going back to school. This was my wife's going back to work this morning, and we're getting broke back in on the getting the kids out the door and the routine. You get some bad habits of sleeping in till 7:38 or so. Laying around lounging, and we got to break those habits. It was like ripping off a band-aid this morning. Get out of the door.
yeah. The habits come in quickly for you and your wife, but somehow the kids they just completely forget, right? It's like you take 30 days off. It's like, what? What are we
Uh,
doing? Where do we
yeah.
go to school?
Exactly. Yes. What I have shoes. Where are my shoes? I don't have any shoes, Dad. Uh, Anyway, let's talk
Um,
about your markets. So we had export flash this morning. Good news. Good to see these things pop through. 110,000 metric tons of corn to Colombia. Good to see these come popping back up again, Connor B.
Absolutely. An interesting price action rate we talked yesterday. We talked about if we could break through that 460, there's a lot of breathing room.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, we I think we went maybe 460 and a half on March futures a quarter, and we
Hmm.
broke below it. We're down today 3 cents, bouncing just a little bit off the low. So interesting price action, right? I gotta think, before this report, unless we get some big news, right?
Yeah.
I gotta think we're gonna do some a little bit maybe squaring up, right? A little bit back and forth. But
Mhm.
soybeans, I had a headline: soybeans were up uh, on the rumor, right? We talked about on the show the rumor that Trump was going to reduce tariffs, but we're down this morning because he's going to keep tariffs on. I don't know if I believe that, right? I think that news came a little too quick for that, but it's always funny reading these headlines, right? There's got to be some reason why the market's up or down, right? You can't just say price action.
Yeah, yeah. There's always a reason you get that phone call of, well, why is the market up or why is the
Why are
market
we
down
rallying?
today? Yeah, more buyers than sellers, more sellers than buyers, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
We need a catalyst though to break out of these ranges. And I guess, to your point about corn touching 460 yesterday, target orders, they're a great thing to have in place, having those targets in place because that opportunity to sell at that level can be very fleeting. And we can throw the number out there, but you may not have enough time to pick up the phone, call your buyer, and get that hedge in place or get that grain sold. So use target orders, friends. All right. Big headline, my favorite one this morning. free speech has been
Yeah,
restored.
here we go.
Meta ends fact checking and speech restrictions on all their platforms. Some quotes from the comments or the article, Wall Street Journal article, is Meta Platforms is ending fact checking and removing restrictions on speech across Facebook and Instagram. Mark Zuckerberg said it was an attempt to restore free expression on its platforms. Thank goodness, about time. We've reached a point, I quote him, we reach a point where it's too many mistakes, too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing free speech. Um, then Zuckerberg goes on, talk about kind of aligning with Trump a little bit more, criticize legacy media a little bit in the article, and he also said that fact checkers were becoming too politically biased. Connor,
Boy.
did it surprise you? I don't think it surprised me at all.
Not necessarily. Interesting to. I mean, I'm not on Facebook, so I don't know.
Okay.
But it'd be interesting to see if do you think you'll see? Are we going to see a shift? Right? Does it
I,
change the content, or is this a headline grabber more than anything?
Yeah, it feels like it, but I don't know. To me, it's the great awakening for the woke, and we've been, just kind of pivoting since the election a little more to the right. And you see, with the Trudeau deal yesterday, we've just seen a number of little things that kind of reinforce that to some extent. And I don't know. X has gained a lot of traction because of Musk and his promotion of free speech and backing that. It's good to see free speech is an important thing and a great American right to have. So.
Absolutely. Yep.
Enough with the political soapbox stuff. Let's move on.
Good
All
stuff.
right.
Hey, let's look at weekly export inspections and shipments. So on paper, right, we were in line with expectations on corn, soybeans, right? Corn was at a little bit the lower end of the range. Soybeans was at the top of the range, but generally in line with expectations. But let's look at it in chart form because I think this tells a story, Brady, is just uh looking at corn shipments, right? We're definitely I don't know if I want to call it like seasonal, right? Like we see that pullback and we're seeing it right now. Going in October, November, December, right? Exports were fantastic. We were shipping a lot of corn and the chart reflects it. We really need the follow through looking at corn, right? That's been our bullish story. It needs to continue to see it. So interesting to see, but right now, I think we're following the pattern that we've seen in previous years. Now, what could derail that is any type of safrinha corn crop if they have issues. There's a lot of what ifs that could change that trajectory. But right now, it I don't know what you think. It feels like we're following a similar pattern to previous years. I guess I'd say.
Yep. The only thing that stands out to me you highlighted there is kind of the pullback recently on some of those shipments, but is that seasonal? Is it, you can kind of argue maybe that's seasonal there to an extent, but we're entering prime time for corn shipments to move out the door, and that U.S. business, we're the number one shop in town until June, July timeframe. We're going to be watching that safrinha corn crop as it goes in the ground. It's 75% of South America's corn production. It's going to go in the ground here the end of this month, and everybody's going to be watching the production. Then we're going to be watching the U.S. planting. How many acres are we planting there? And that's, to me, is going to dictate, how aggressive. Mexico's got a lot on the books. They've been our number one buyer. Does anything on that front change as we get a new administration coming into the office? We don't want to lose any of that strength we've got going with Mexico right now because they've been a huge supporter for this corn export program.
Absolutely, and flipping over to soybeans, that we're the seller until we're not, right? Soybeans, I mean, we talk about following a pattern, right? It's going to be interesting because you look at 22, 23, and 23, 24, right? We get a quick I don't know if you call it a spike, like both years, right? Last year it came a little bit later in the year, but then we really fall off going into March.
Mhm.
The pattern, it's a very similar pattern
I
that
wonder
we've
if that's
seen.
harvest delay related. If there's problems getting that crop out in South America, getting it to the river, the ports, is that related to, some rainfall or wet January timeframe where they can't get the crop out the door fast enough and you need some quick ship fills to
Yeah.
some export destinations possibly?
Or is it like I'm throwing, don't listen to the numbers I'm going to throw out, but is it that last like 10%, right? Are we waiting to see how the Brazil crop are buyers waiting to see where the best market is? and then they go ahead and put sales on the books, so we see that last big blip come in. No complete speculation there. I'm not sure.
All right, we'll dial it in here. Speaking of speculators, let's talk about commitment of traders and the data that we got yesterday.
Yep.
A day delayed, but it's I think data as of 12/31. What do you got on COT stuff here, Connor B? We can
Yeah.
talk greens first, and then move over to cattle.
Yep. So it's still a similar quarter, similar story we're seeing in the corn market, right? That's the story, is that we're seeing funds be the most bullish corn that they've been in the past 2-3 years, Brady, right? Continued buying. We're seeing increases getting up to levels I like to talk about, good marketing years, right? 21, 22. And then we see, 2021, it wasn't there, but it got there. So we're getting into some very bullish corn positions in terms of fund positioning. So interesting to see. The one thing that makes me nervous is that when we see that, right, absolutely the funds can, they've got room to breathe. They can add to their length, but sometimes when they get really bullish, especially in this type of year, I do get nervous of if and when we see a pullback, right? I think that should be on everyone's mind. It's definitely on mine.
Yeah, anytime the funds are, that with some length on them, they can run for the exits very, very quickly and faster than you can get the hedges in place and react to the price action there. So,
Yeah.
if you're a producer in the grain business, it's good to go out and manage risk when the funds are long. They're giving you some opportunity to go out there and shift some risk to them. So, good points. Anything else on the grains related to funds before we move over to cattle?
Now, soybeans is quick and dirty, right? Continue to hold a short position. Soybean meal, where it was that very, very short position, they're buying some of that back, but nothing dramatic, right? The story is still probably in this corn long position. So what do you got on cattle?
Yep, cattle side of things, funds are really, really long. On the feeder cattle front, 20,000, 21,900, 21.9 thousand net long on the feeder cattle side of things, just off the charts there, that red line all the way on the far right. That's your fund long here as we wrap up the last COT of 24, exiting the door of 24, really long on the feeder cattle side of things. Then you look at the all cattle position. This is fat cattle and feeder cattle, and a little flatter, not quite as it's still a very, very long position, 151,000 net long between the both of them, feeders and fats. But similar story as that corn front, Connor B. The funds are long. There's a tremendous amount of headline risk out there. Going to jump around here a little bit on the cattle side of things, but I got a lot of things I want to talk about with cattle.
Let's do it.
One headline I saw, here's this Australia 2024 beef exports hit 1.34 million tons. That exceeds their previous, it's a new record, and it exceeds their two previous highs of in 2015 and 2016. They had 1.22, 1.23 million metric tons of beef export in the market. So significantly higher than that, and a great year for Australian beef exports. A lot of that due with the shortage here in the U.S. Some of that export does actually come to the U.S. business, and some of it goes to like Asia, Southeast Asia, that market area over there, replacing some of the business that U.S. exports would send that way. So that's an interesting headline to me. I expect that to continue until the U.S. beef cow herd returns, or are there any potential tariff implications that could come that would restrict Australian beef coming to the U.S.? And would that be a catalyst to send this cattle market into the stratosphere? Quite possibly, if that were to come to fruition. We will see on that front. But regardless, we got record 5 area fat cattle trade, official record print. It's up $4 versus last week. I think the print was 198.93. That is nearly $25 higher than fat cattle trade print was a year ago, Connor. Stockman's Livestock, they have a fat cattle sale this morning, 7:30 a.m. Hot off the press here this morning. 210, 211 trade in Yankton, South Dakota on fat cattle. Just hot record. This market's crazy. But choice box beef, the data yesterday, it's the highest level since July 8th. It's up significantly. Choice is up 186 at 327.10, while select yesterday was up $6 at 303.35. 31. Connor, I'm going to sum this up and I'm going to slow down a little bit here and I'm going to focus on risk management. But some of the biggest questions going forward on the cattle front is, how much can the consumer pay? When will they start to push back on high prices? That's number one. Number two, we need some clarity on the Mexican feeder cattle import restrictions. When will that come? Or is it just going to be a can kick down the road? But when will those Mexican feeder cattle come to the market? If they don't come, that's another catalyst for the bulls to help keep this market supported. And then that third point I already hinted at is the tariff implications. Are we going to see tariffs on imported beef? And if you're a bull, there's 2 points in there that could really send this market to another level. So caution to anybody really bearish at these prices. That doesn't mean don't go manage risk. It just means there might be some more opportunity here, and let's keep getting while the getting's good.
You got to respect the potential, right? It doesn't mean to just be an outright bull, but you got to respect the headlines, respect the news, and respect that what could be coming down the line in very real headlines. So good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Well, let's roll that LRP map while we're talking risk management, and let's talk about where we can offer you guys LRP. It's a great foundational risk management product if you're interested in learning about the basics of LRP or how you can enhance LRP with your hedge account using options. You can do it all one stop here with ATI. You can do your LRP, you can do your options. We've got a strategy that helps you make the most of these bull markets when they happen. So give us a call. Talk to us if you want to talk about risk management on the cattle front. Sale barns are going to be active this week. We've got the Yankton sale. We got the Beaver, Oklahoma sale, Oklahoma City here. And then we've got winter livestock's going to be opened up for their sales here. So watch those cash cattle trades. The feeder cattle index, I didn't talk about it yet, but record print there, 268.63 on the feeder cattle. That's as of Friday, up to 87 there. Been all over the place. Light trade data going into that, Connor. The daily total was 7,000 head. I got that highlighted there, 7,101 head. And that was 273.41 on the daily print for that feeder cattle index data on Friday. We will see what gets thrown into that index here this week and where that index go. But you got record prices here. Never better opportunities in the cattle market. Button them up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good stuff. With that, let's answer. We got a few questions. Pop them up, and then let's get out of here.
Sounds good.
We got Farmer Brett. Facebook was becoming only useful thanks to Marketplace. Oh, that's when I jump on Facebook. It's to look at Marketplace, and always good.
Yeah, got to watch out for the scammers though out there. Sometimes you see a great deal out there, something that's about 50% price, half price, and it turns out to be a scammer. So.
Facebook's called F-book around here. I like it, Russ.
Nice. Oh gosh.
What else? Here we go. Basis is tanking for wheat in Western Kansas. What do you think, Brady?
I think wheat and corn even to some extent, corn definitely. But basis has been pretty volatile out here, and I think that's an indication of guys getting covered up on near-term needs in the corn market. On the wheat side of things, I'm not really paying attention, especially if it's old crop wheat. I'm done with old crop wheat. Been done for a long time. Didn't want to pay storage. Didn't want to pay interest. Sell it at harvest. There's great ways to own that thing with a call. Define your risk. Define your cost of ownership. So I'm not dealing with old crop wheat anymore, Farmer Brett, but and haven't been for a while. But on the corn side of things, got to pay attention to that, and that basis can be volatile there. But I don't know. It's a tough market.
Yeah. Here we go. Russ sold last year's feeders yesterday, averaged 2,000 a head, regardless of weight. Wasn't too many years ago. I remember Grandpa telling me to take extra care of the calves because they hit $1,000 a head.
Times have changed, Grandpa. My goodness.
Good stuff.
$2,000 a head. Market's hot. Take advantage of it. Yeah. All right, Connor B. Anything else to close us out here today? Oh, nope. Premium. Let's talk about that real quick. Yeah, yesterday we did premium. Talked about report this Friday to position accordingly. Any comments on yesterday's premium, Connor?
Yeah, I thought it was a good one, right? Just giving guys options, right? How we look at this report, right? What can history tell us in terms of price action for how we move, right? And then you and I think as a company, Advanced Trading, we look at this report as much a deadline as anything else, right? Do we want to get control of definitely the old crop, but then also right? Let's start looking forward to 25, right? We in this business, sometimes I think we have this thinking that we don't need to think about new crop marketing uh, in January, this far out, right? It's tomorrow's problem, and I don't think that's the case, right? I think if we want to get control, if we want to start making some good business decisions, I think it starts this week, and so we just tried to walk through that, I think.
Yep. Yep. Good stuff. Big report here this week. Actionable. We got a lot in store for premium subscribers here the rest of the week. Excited about what we're doing on that front. Thank you to the new subscribers who've jumped on and signed up for premium. Really appreciate you. Hope you're getting the content. If you guys have ideas of things you want us to talk about, send it to us. It's an open forum. We want you to get what you're paying for and tell us what you want to hear. With that, let's wrap up the show, get out of here, and get on with our jobs, Connor B. We'll be
Yep.
back here tomorrow live at 9.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
We'll see you.